She was a teetotaler who lived a very sober life. What the hell? Hello and welcome to Sober Living Snippets, where we live alcohol-free, but not boring, so we can heal our relationships, feel youthful again, and ditch regret and shame. Hey gals, Becca here with a snippet for you. This week is going to end on Friday. Did you know that? I bet you did. And that means Saturday will come next, and on Saturday, February 22nd, I am doing an interactive 90-minute free masterclass live on Zoom where I'm going to invite you to bring a pen, bring a piece of paper, and we are going to change your thinking to change your drinking. I'm going to show you how to manifest an alcohol-free life with ease. Now, why did I talk about that first? Because all week long, we're talking about vocabulary. I don't know why I just like saying that word like that. Sounds so boring, doesn't it? We're talking about words, the words we use, the words we think, which of course make sentences, which make thoughts, which form our lives. So yesterday, day before, we've gone through some words that we can either change or eliminate from our vocabulary. Today, I'm going to talk more about that, and all of it is going to culminate on Saturday when we're really going to dig in to change your thinking, to change your drinking. And thoughts are made up of words, right? Okay, good. So today I have for you, you're just not going to believe what I've got for you today, what I found. I've said this before, recently actually, that the word sobriety and sober just seemed to me so dry and boring. And that got me thinking about the words we use to describe people who live their lives alcohol-free. And I mean, look what I found. I went into the thesaurus online, and if you type in sobriety, we get words like teetotaler. Do you even know that word? I know that word. It's a pretty old-fashioned word, but it means a person who doesn't drink alcohol. And it's not T-E-A like, a cup of tea. It's T-E-E. So teetotaler. And if you've ever seen old movies or anywhere where that word is used, it always describes a very, very serious, very boring person. Oh, she's a teetotaler, like she's a librarian or English teacher, ironically, that's very boring and dry and doesn't drink alcohol. Another synonym for sobriety is continence. Continence. What? Or soberness. Or temperance. Back in the early 20th century, there was a whole temperance movement, and it was led by women who meant well, but if you see pictures of them, they were all very serious, very puckered up sort of women. I don't know how else to describe them. Another word, self-restraint, abstemiousness, moderation. How about abstaining? Refraining. These are all synonyms for sobriety. Well, no wonder we don't want to be sober. No wonder we don't want sobriety. So let's come up with some new words, shall we? Would someone please explain to me why, just because you don't drink alcohol, it's a poisonous substance. It's all societal, isn't it? It's all societal. It's the way we're raised. There's a liquor store on every corner. And it's so common that someone who doesn't drink alcohol is seen as odd, awkward, out there, boring, dry, a teetotaler. We need to change that. And there actually is a movement, and it's gaining steam. It really is a movement for alcohol-free living. You can go on alcohol-free cruises, alcohol-free vacations. And we do not have to use words to describe ourselves that make us think boring. I can tell you this much. My life became way more interesting when I quit drinking because here's the thing. When you can't control your drinking, your life becomes very repetitive. You live the same boring routine over and over. Try not to drink, drink anyway, wake up in regret. Try not to drink, drink anyway, wake up in regret. You get, right? Life is very, very monotonous. Oh, this same old story of failure, regret, shame, just endless anxiety of when will my life get any light in it? When will my life feel like a life? When will I feel like I'm really living? That is supposed to be the fun life, whereas sobriety is supposed to be the dry and boring life. Now, feel good enough to do things, go on adventures, go hiking, go on vacation, go here, go there. I used to do some of those things, not a lot in the last 10 years of my drinking, to be honest, but I had to do all of those things while carrying a bottle around with me, which usually turned the whole thing into some sort of fiasco by the end because I would invariably overdrink. There's nothing adventurous or exciting about alcohol. People who overdrink are a mess. They're repetitive, they're boring. It's just the same old story. So I would like us to think in terms of vocabulary, how we think about sobriety. I'm using the word because it's just the word we're used to, right? But let's think about the word differently. Let's think about alcohol-free living differently. Because if we hear that word and our subconscious immediately thinks boring, difficult, stressful, then it's going to be even more difficult for us to take up that lifestyle, isn't it? Here we are asking ourselves to adopt a lifestyle that subconsciously we believe, well, frankly, sucks. Dull, boring. How am I ever going to get through the party? How am I going to do this? How am I going to do that? So this is a word in our vocabulary, these words, all of these words that I mentioned, that we really need to think carefully about how we use and how we think about them. So what else can we call ourselves? Another word, by the way, I just thought of is dry. You know what I think of the word dry. I did a alcohol-free challenge in January, and I just could not bring myself to call it Dry January. Who wants to be dry? So I called it Juicy January. In my opinion, that's it. You know what? I just came up with it. That's the word we're going to adopt in our vocabulary to define women who have decided to live alcohol-free. We are juicy. Juicy, juicy, juicy. Why? Because our cells aren't all dried out by alcohol. We've got lots of healthy fluids in our body, not just water, but there's some of the best herb teas out there that really cleanse the body and keep you youthful and keep your skin supple and plump. The cells of your skin nice and plump. I don't mean your body plump. We don't want plump bodies. We want plump skin cells. But you get my drift here. I like the word juicy. I'm feeling juicy today. What does it mean? It means I've got energy. It means I'm alive. It means the body is full of energy. And everybody knows we're supposed to drink lots of water. Why? Because we don't want to be dried up. Well, nothing dries you up worse than alcohol. So I just don't get the whole dry thing. So you do not have to get a t-shirt saying you're a juicy girl, but you can think about yourself that way. You can even keep it to yourself if you find it a little bit embarrassing. But let's think of alcohol-free living differently. And if we do have to use words like sobriety, sober living, that's fine, but think of them differently. Society has put a slant on those words that just make us think, God, do I have to be one of those people? One of those boring people? Do I sound like a boring person to you? That's another thing I'm determined on these snippets to show you that when the mind wakes up and the heart wakes up and we start living our true lives, we're not dull, we're not boring. We are finally alive for the first time in our lives. We can think creatively, we can think clearly, we can dream again. And man, are we ever juicy. So there it is, gals. Today's vocabulary lesson is all about the words we use to describe those of us who are living alcohol-free, those of us who are going juicy. So check the show notes and register for my masterclass this weekend. If you're busy this Saturday, it's Saturday, February 22, 11 a.m. Pacific. If you can't be there, sign up anyway so I can send you the recording. You don't have to be there to receive the recording, and then you can do the class anytime you have time. Sit down, do it, bring a pen. I'm not going to lecture for 90 minutes. I'm going to walk you through 3 exercises that will help you to change your thinking, to change your drinking. And I would just absolutely love to meet you. You don't have to call yourself out. You don't have to make a spectacle of yourself. You just be there quietly with a pen, and I will walk you through the exercises. We're going to do some breathing as well, and we'll have some quiet moments. Because when I work with women, I like us to be centered before we start doing work. We have a pen in our hand, but first we'll sit quietly for a minute and do a little bit of breathing, get centered, and then we'll get good and juicy. See you tomorrow with another vocabulary lesson. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back tomorrow so we can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.